It's 2nd of August 25, it's Saturday, and I'm just talking about it's a week on since the UK Online Safety Act. I put one there, I don't know why. No, 1 week on, that's what it means. Yeah, and it's not really affected me yet, so that's good news, and maybe that's why I don't really feel emotionally driven to even make this video, but just a few points I'll make on it. I think everyone should be using a VPN anyway already, so this is why it's not really affected me, if say if you're visiting over 18 sites or anything, you can get by them by using a VPN as long as the server's in another country and it's suggesting to the website that you're in another country. Like I say, for my mobile network, say an over 18 site, for example, legal of course, before the Act came into, this part of the Act came into action, before that, say a week ago, the mobile network just didn't let you visit most over 18 sites, legal 18 sites. It just, if you tried it, it just said nothing can access this site. It wasn't the site doing it, it was a mobile network. But now the mobile network lets you go to the site because now they're taking the view that it's the website. It's up to them now. Now that it's law, they're putting the onus onto them. So before then, the mobile network was actually safer, in my opinion, for well children, if that's what it's meant to mostly affect. That was the whole idea, I think, behind this act. Although they brought in lots of other things that affect free speech and all that. I think that's what everyone's angry about. I mean, I have seen a few X posts where it's not been available and I need to do Face ID so that they can estimate or something like that. Yeah. And as Elon Musk put it, it's times like this that they make Elon Musk speak for us because he done that when he bought X as well. It's self-doxing, he calls it. You're giving away your identity. Although you aren't if you're just doing a Face ID. This is one thing I wanted to point out. Like the Face Age Estimate ID, I always thought that meant that you had to give your personal details and a picture of your face. But it turns out it's not. You just need to let it see your face, and from that it can estimate your age. And for most people, that's going to be enough. So to me, that's a lot better. I mean, why Labour didn't make a big thing about that instead of accusing Nigel Farage of something, which is probably libelous if Farage wanted to take it up. Probably the other way around, it probably would happen, but Nigel's just taking it in good spirit. But so this face age estimate, I mean, that's not so bad, but why didn't they make a big thing about that? That would have been a way to placate most people, I would have thought. Personally, I would prefer they could do it from thumbprint or something, But yeah, so that's not so bad, and yeah, because the things that are at threat, like at the moment, I think there's two things. First of all, everyone's got used to, well, free speech is all continuously being clamped down. It's like the government try and clamp down it, then Elon Musk bought X and opened it up, and it made it difficult for the government, but they still arrest a lot of people for X posts and stuff. And of course, our Labour councillor's, Tory councillor's wife, who's done nothing but good for the community, she's still in jail for 18 months or something for really a tweet. You could say it was in bad taste, but it wasn't really. I don't know why that one get picked out from all the ones done at the time, considering three young girls had just been stabbed in Southport, and we were told it was a Welsh choir boy by the police, and we weren't told anything, you know. And the people were really angry. Keir said they were bursting far, but to me, it looks like what happens in these scenarios is it's the left that's busting, or usually they're coming by train, it seems. Well, it depends where it is. I mean, in Epping, it looks as if they come in by train, maybe from London or whatever. And if you look at the images, it looks like quite a lot of the time it's the same people turning up. So it's not locals, basically. And it looks like the people protesting are locals. Well, I don't know that, but it seems like that from traditional Labour voting areas, So well done, Keir. That was really. I mean, was Keir, was he, and then the police had an investigation into that, and now 12 months later, when everyone's forgot, they said they saw no signs of it being the far from that side. I'm not talking about the left. So does that mean when Keir made that speech, was he lying, or was he misinformed, or are our secret services totally incompetent? I mean, to me, I watched the things at the time in Rotherham and that, and to me it looked like, because it looked like a lot of time it was the adult parents and their adult children, basically, that sort of thing. It looked to me like it was totally disorganised from what I saw. It looked like it was locals really, really angry. I mean, it takes a lot, I think, to make British locals riot, in my opinion. You mean, how many times have they rioted over the years? I can't even remember. Maybe to me, it's a sign of why we're such a desirable country. But, uh, I mean, we were very high trust. I wouldn't say it's going that way now, but yeah. So, anyway, the face age estimate thing. So, if most websites done something like that or estimate your age from what they know, things like that. But if you've got somewhere registered with a bank card, surely they can estimate you from that. I mean, they actually know your age if they've registered. I think the way it's going to go probably will just give Google their personal details, which we a lot of us do with our bank cards or whatever, and then basically from that bank card, you should be able to tell your routine. I mean, Keir's saying 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to vote in our rotten borough electoral system in that fashion, via a bank card, because he knows they haven't got passports or driving license. Well, most of them, personal ID with a photo image. So really, a bank card should be enough to. And probably, I mean, what I do now really is that any time I can sign up to a website with Google, I use that because I don't want passwords all over the place and websites and passwords. And also, it means that sort of Google's only giving them limited information, I would hope. And so, because a lot of these websites, they get hacked at some point. All this personal information gets released to the dark web or whatever, or it gets sold to hackers and that, happens all the time. I mean, McDonald's, I think, get hacked recently. I don't know if it was everyone who went for an interview or whatever, but apparently the password was 123456, or something like that. And this is McDonald's, one of the biggest companies in the world. So, and yeah, as I'll always say, the electoral system needs to change. This is the main thing. This is why this is coming about, because they're giving us laws, constipated laws, big massive bills. Nobody knows what's going on, and then when the week comes to just rubber stamp it, people get upset. Like in Scotland, Labour, SNP came up with their sort of ID law or whatever, and something. It was, I think all Labour voted for it, most of the Tories. So everyone had, all their electorals had voted for it. They were just about to rubber stamp it about 2 years ago, and suddenly the women understood what it was about, the Scottish women, and they didn't like it, and there was a big ruckus. And I don't know if that bill went through actually, and I think probably that's why Nicola chucked it then, once she got that bill. And then just earlier this year, Scottish women sort of took the thing to court about it. I don't know, the High Court, and they won it. And Keir said he thanks for the elaboration into law or whatever, even though he was the opposite before that. But he's always done that. And to me, it was just ironic because in the old days, those women coming out at High Court cheering would have been the ones that were Nicola's backers. They would have been the ones at Nicola's meetings, stuff like that, supporting her. So I think that's why she chucked it. Well, I don't know about it. Anyway, and we should have big debates to adapt laws. It should even be a referendum, really, something like that. But I think also it's because the genie's out of the bottle a little bit that people have got used to, even though they keep clamping down on free speech, they had to go before this. well, they've had quite a few goes, especially pre peak woke, which was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even a year ago. Yeah, in fact, a year ago, because Nigel Farage, remember, Coots wanted rid of him from their banking. They didn't want to do his banking. So I would say that it was very woke. I don't think they went through with it in the end. And even I'm talking about Nigel. Did I say Keir? Nigel. And so yeah, that's the sort of things I'm saying. I'll take a look at Gemini just to look a bit more or less. But like I say, to me so far it's not affected me because I've been using a VPN all the time. And as I say, everyone should be using a VPN really all the time. People say you can use it for the BBC if you're in another country or something, but I find that I can't use the BBC with it anyway. It knows I'm using a VPN, so I'm sure a lot of sites will start doing that as well now. But it's ironic because I don't use the BBC anymore anyway, but I'm still paying the tax because I don't want people coming round my house. You know, plus I want to keep a TV as well. So, I mean, the only thing I was watching over the last 2 or 3 years was the Eurovision Song Contest. So I was basically paying about £180 a year to see the Eurovision Song Contest. But I've just stopped using the BBC, and it's not because politically or anything. I just don't find it relevant to me anymore. So, yeah. I'll just ask a few obvious questions. How is the online safety law in UK going? Age verification for harmful content. Yeah, this is one of the big. This is one we've seen. Yeah, yeah, and I think I wanted to say about this as well is like I think a lot of the laws are already covered by others because there was a Communication Act in 2003, and I noticed Grok said the other day. Someone asked Grok in X how would his own tweets, affect him with the Online Safety Act, and I think they said you could be breaking the law of the Communication Act 2003 or the Online Safety Act 2023. This is when that one was passed under the Tories. I think it was Boris that started, or Theresa May. I mean, Labour and Tories totally agree with it. Reform say they're going to scrap it. So, I mean, I'm all for in favour of things. If things settle down, maybe it won't be as bad as I thought. Well, so far anyway. Uh, I mean, for people having to use a VPN, that's putting another obstacle in the way of children and that. Probably before then, most of them wouldn't have known how to use a VPN, or now they probably do because I've heard about it, because of all the stuff going on over the last week. Yeah. So the age verification came into force in July 25, 2025. Yeah, Ofcom enforcement, this could be really bad. It's not really started yet. They're, uh, they're actively enforcing these new rules. But this could be really a problem, I think. Whenever Ofcom get involved, Ofcom has significant powers. Again, it was a well-meaning thing that's sort of turned weird. Probably a lot through wokeness, including imposing fines of up to 18 million or 10% of a company's global revenue. In extreme cases, seeking court orders to block non-compliant sites. I mean, you could end up with sites just leaving, not being in the UK market. Illegal content duties, well, I'm totally in favour of that. Platforms have a legal duty to protect users from illegal content online. Ofcom has been enforcing these duties, yeah. It depends what they mean as well, though. Yeah, well, certainly, I would have, those are already illegal anyway, I would have thought. Compliance and reaction, many have been preparing for it, yeah, that seems like it. Some have committed to deploying age checks. Yeah, if it's just a face estimate ID, that's not too bad. But infringing on free speech, this is a problem. Who sets a limit of free speech? Because nobody wants free speech. Everyone, like on the right, they tend to not want speech about something that's happening in the Middle East. They want us to ignore that really, or support one side over the other. That's what the right usually want to clamp down on. And then on the left, well, they want to clamp down. They're on quite a lot of things. A petition calling for the repeal of the Act has gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures, so that will be debated. Citing privacy, concerns about privacy, yeah, that's a concern, yeah. Like I say, because the problem is, first of all, maybe a hacker can get access to your computer or whatever. And then say a married mother married to a man, I need to say that now, don't I? Is maybe visiting over 18 sites about women or whatever in particular, you know, then they may be blackmailed or something. I don't know. Just giving you a silly example, you know. And then the other part of that is a lot of websites get hacked, and in a way it's inevitable because even LastPass get hacked, and only 3 people had access to the code, but one of them had fallen for a phishing attack. And once you do a phishing thing, that's you. It doesn't matter how secure the thing is. You've given somebody your password. So websites get hacked all the time. As I say, McDonald's get hacked recently. And then the other thing is privacy, because then a lot of these sites, any info they've got on you, they sell them to advertising things, agencies and things like that, and you can end up anywhere. They're giving you personal information or whatever. So you've got that, and if it's breached in a hack or whatever, then that's given to, you're put on a mailing list, all this sort of stuff. You need to check, have I been pwned or whatever. So all these sort of things. And then there's what they do with it as well, you know, your info, because they really want, apparently your personal info is really precious. You know, Facebook and Google, they're always asking that sort of stuff, you know. And I remember that Apple were going to check all your photos for illegal stuff, basically. But I remember they were checking everyone's photos. I don't think they went through with that. And then Google, when they used to do their Google Maps, they checked for insecure Wi-Fi's. And I don't know if they actually went on it or what, but yeah. So you've got all this sort of thing going on. So really, the less you give a site, the better, you know. Looking ahead, Ofcom has continued to roll out different parts of the legislation. Categorised services. Ofcom is working to publish a register. Categorised services. Transparency and reporting. Super complainant status. Women and girls safety. I mean, this is always well-meaning, but you could end up the opposite. I mean, I can say the Women's Safety Initiative or Institute, I can never remember what they're called. I can see them maybe, at the moment, there's Labour are probably turning a blind eye to them because they're probably ideal voters, but long term, you know, could end up a problem for them. I support them, so and some of the Online Safety Act, yeah. I'll just ask you a few more quick questions. I mean, some people are talking about banning mobile phones from under 14s and all that. I mean, I'd be totally against that naturally, but if it means me having difficulty on the internet, then yeah, okay then, if you want. I mean, it's a bit like the 20 mile an hour driving thing. Why not make it 0 miles an hour? Then nobody will get knocked down, you know. But I imagine if you'd done that for under 14s or whatever, well, Labour would get voted out, I think, for definite. I think they will anyway, but on this issue, they would probably get voted out, definitely. Because the kids would all be furious. And they would be telling their parents to not vote Labour, etc. Let's see the highly effective facial estimation. So, like I say, I never understood this. I thought you had to give your personal information. So if it's just an estimation from your face, that's not so bad really. Um, this technology assesses a person's likely age. If I was in charge of Labour, I would have been saying this is what you've got to promote, this is what you've got to talk about. Because really the Labour MPs don't understand that. I mean, they don't understand it. Zia Yusuf only understands it at my level, or maybe even a bit less, in my opinion. You know, he's talking as if he knows a lot, but actually it's because they don't know it at all, the Labour MPs. So he's driving a coach and horses through their argument because they don't understand it themselves. I mean, all a Labour MP needs to say is, well, the facial age estimation, you're not giving your personal details, you're just showing your face to the thing, man. It's estimating your age from that. So you're not giving personal details. That's all they need to say. Instead, Peter Kyle, who's meant to be a Labour possible future leader, I think he's sunk already from what I've seen. Although Labour are finished, I think, on the big issue. Um, yeah, he came out saying that Nigel would have been supporting someone else who was not a very nice guy, who's now deceased. And it was just libelous, and I think it was just the worst thing, especially because the British public are probably on Nigel's side mostly, you know, so yeah, they just don't understand it. If you'd said that, you'd have been alright. Photo ID matching. This is a lot. I mean, I'm against this really, you know, or try and avoid it as much as you can. Users can upload a photo of a government issued document. I mean, the betting sites do this at the moment, and it means that someone without a photo ID basically loses their money, basically from betting if they've got any money in that account. Because the law came in, you had to have photo ID. So if you've not got a driving licence or a passport, which is really the only two photo IDs in a moment, then any money you've got in a betting site, you've lost it, basically. Because a lot of the betting sites, if you don't use the site for a long time, they'll say they're going to take £5 a month or £10 a month out of your account for no reason. I don't know why the government haven't clamped down on it. Is that it sounds illegal to me, but it's probably something that the government don't realise is happening. Um, can you imagine if your money was in a bank and then, well, they do close bank accounts, but they don't take the money out of the bank, they just freeze them. But can you imagine the bank suddenly started saying, if you don't use the account, we're going to start taking £10 a month out of it? And I'm not talking about accounts that you pay to use, you know, current accounts. Yeah, photo ID. The details from an ID are used to verify the age. So really you want to get away from that really. Credit card checks, well, if you get a credit card with that site, then fair enough. Or if you're using Google Pay, then Google Pay can be the guarantor. You know, I would prefer Google Pay in that situation, you know, so you're not giving them your details. Yeah, well, simply using a debit card is not considered effective. Checking a person's age via their credit card provider can be a viable method. So why not a debit card? Well, maybe you can be you can't get a credit card under 18, I suppose. Mobile network operator age checks. Yeah, I would be that if it was tastefully done, you know. This method leverages a user's mobile phone network to verify their age. Well, if they know, yeah, that's fine, but then, of course, your kids could be using that as well, you know, so I don't know. Digital identity services. These are services that act as a digital wallet for identity information, yeah, like Google Pay, I would imagine. Users can store their verified age and other credentials, yeah. So, open banking. This method allows a user to verify their age by securely connecting with their bank. The bank confirms, yeah, well, possibly, yeah. Anything that doesn't give that site your personal details, uh, or as little as possible, you know. I'll see what else. Some have partnered with companies like Yoti and Persona to handle their age verification process. At the moment, I'm not in favour of these things because I really don't want to have third parties, apart from Google or Facebook, you know, ones that we trust. Although I don't really trust them, but at least I know them. I'll just look at the key points. It's not really come up in the way that I hoped. all the stuff to do with children. You can have made this a separate act, you know. And the other thing is they should be able to adapt these laws and change them. Instead they come up with big constipated bills that take months or even years. Usually they take a year at least, but this one's taking years to go through. Protection from illegal content, age verification. So, as I say, if it's Face ID estimation, it's not so bad, I think, or from your credit card detail or whatever, I don't know, or your mobile network, that would be preferable. Protection from harmful content, but really, I think all that's probably covered in the 2003 Act or any act really. Bullying, abusive or hateful content, serious violence, dangerous stunts and challenges. Key protection for adults. This is a one in a problem. Removal of illegal content. Yeah, I'm in favour of that, you know. Should have been done already, but yeah. This would be like stuff like ex-boyfriends uploading stuff or whatever, you know, or someone copying your stuff and uploading it, or I would hope. User choice and control. Platforms are required to offer users the option to filter out content. Well, that's okay, yeah. I mean, I probably wouldn't, but enhancement of terms and conditions. Just off-common enforcement there. Protection of freedom of expression. This is a very important bit, probably affect most of us. Because apparently someone giving a speech in Parliament has come with a Twitter warning, X warning, that we need to estimate your age for you to view this. You know, that sort of thing. Okay. Right, anyway, that's all I've got to say at the moment. The main thing I wanted to say was that it's not really affected me yet. Probably mainly since I've been using a VPN for years. But the face age estimate, if that involves not giving personal information, I'm not too against that, you know. But Labour, if they understood the internet, they would have been saying that would have been the main thing they would have been saying. But instead, they went on about a libelous thing towards Nigel Farage, really. Yeah, that's all I've got to say about it at the moment. Okay.